Can you believe it? Game 3, hours away. Royals-Yankees knotted at one game apiece in the ALDS, and the guy who helped put this team all together, of course, is J.J. Picollo, the general manager and president of baseball operations, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. J.J., good morning. Congratulations on obviously how this tremendous season has gone thus far. What do you think is clicking right now for this team as you guys have gotten into postseason play?
Well, I think we're just playing with a lot of confidence right now. We had a tough September, to say the least, and they battled through that and went through a ton of adversity. Went on the road the last week of the season and won 4 out of 6 to finish the season and took it right into the playoffs. Baltimore's a tough place to play and 2 tight games, but the guys held their composure. The pitching was outstanding. We got a couple timely hits, and that's been our recipe for success all year.
What about going to a place like Yankee Stadium and playing in that environment with plenty of young guys, first time in the playoffs and things like that? Were there conversations with the veterans, with the coaching staff, with you about how to handle an environment like that? And if so, what were those conversations like to prepare them for those last couple of days?
The conversations that were had were really between the players. We have a lot of coaches that spent a lot of time playing against the Yankees with their former teams. And really, I think there was an excitement. It's Yankee Stadium, but it's just another baseball team we're playing when you really break it down. And we got to pitch better than they pitch. We got to run the bases better. We got to play defense. And if we just stick to what we do, it doesn't matter what stadium you're playing at, whether it's Yankee Stadium or Camden Yards, you just stick to your game. And that was the discussion. I sensed more excitement about going there to play than fear. There certainly was no fear. So it was kind of neat. I'll say this. It was kind of neat for me to sit back and just try to get a feel of where the guys are. Are they nervous? Are they excited? It was just another day. And it was great to see. And I think that's why they went out and played well.
Now, you obviously have been with this franchise for a couple of decades now, almost. I'm sure it doesn't feel like that. But when you get through and you've spent time over the last few days experiencing this playoff run, I'm not saying you can compare it to 14 or 15, but are there similarities you're sensing when it comes to the way this town has responded to this team and anything that you're seeing on the field to what we saw 10 years ago now?
Yeah, there are similarities. I mean, one, I can say, we're on the road, so we don't really know other than what we've been told by friends at home and, people in our front office that weren't on the road trip. So I know tonight there will be a different feel for our players when they see 40,000 people there and in a playoff atmosphere. We see it opening day. We had a couple good crowds late in the year. But in a playoff atmosphere is when I think they'll really feel it. But I do know that they're excited to get back here. And I think the similarities are just you get this momentum going in the playoffs and you start to have this sense of confidence that we're not even questioning whether or not we're going to win. It's more that we're going to win. And I remember that distinct feeling in 14 and 15, and this team has that same confidence right now.
You look at this, postseason baseball versus regular season, and, from the fan perspective, obviously there's a heightened level of enthusiasm. Every pitch seems to matter more, as cliche as that sounds. From your perspective, J.J. Picollo, what is the difference between playoff baseball and regular season baseball?
Well, really, it's fundamentals. The little mistakes that you may make or the other team makes is probably going to be the difference in the game. Squandered opportunities is one thing. If you have guys on base and you don't get a hit, that's going to happen for both teams. But when there's a mistake that one team makes, it's usually magnified in the playoffs. And then when you go back through the game, you realize, well, this is where that game was lost. So, making plays defensively, being in the right spot on the field, on cuts and relays, putting the ball in play with runners in scoring position to force the other team to make a play, they will all be factors, and they will determine who wins or loses. It's very rare that both teams play a perfectly clean game and there's a decision made. It's usually a mistake that's made somewhere that costs one team the game and the other team's the victor.
There were conversations all season long about what this bullpen was going to look like if this team got to this point in the season. And obviously, so far, so good, especially in that game 2. Where is your confidence level at with the bullpen right now, J.J. Picollo, as you get set for Seth Lugo on the mound tonight?
Well, it's really the best it's been all year. If for no other reason, to watch the way that they came in a tight game again in Baltimore, 2 tight games in Baltimore, and the way they performed was just incredible. What I'm really proud of for the players is that there are guys in that bullpen that were in AAA for parts of this year, if not most of this year, that when they got an opportunity here late because we've had some injuries, they've stepped up. And they've pitched like they're veterans, and they're not. But they're on the attack. They're confident. Just the way they're moving about the field in between outs, you can see that they have a confidence right now that we haven't had all year in the bullpen. And you can see by the way Matt Quatrero is using them. He has a ton of confidence in them, and that feeds right into what they need to feel. So we're pitching really well out of the pen right now, and it's certainly at the right time.
J.J. Picollo, the general manager, is joining us here for the Kansas City Royals Game 3 tonight. You mentioned the atmosphere out there, J.J. I mean, we've heard from the fans this morning. We've heard from folks who are going out to, in some cases, their first ever Royals playoff game. What are you looking forward to with the fans tonight and the impact that they can actually have in a game of this magnitude?
Well, we all know how loud Kauffman Stadium can be, and that's a memory that I think we'll all have. Anybody who's at those games in 14 and 15, you never forget that. But I think the thing that I'm excited about, there's going to be kids in the stands tonight that are say 15 years old, that they may have been at the games when they were 5, but they don't really remember them. There's a generation that's going to experience something tonight and tomorrow night that they haven't seen, that I hope allows them to be Royals fans for many years to come. And that's what I think is really exciting about tonight. You're allowing fans to enjoy something that is very special for the city, something that's very special for our organization, but it'll keep them coming back for more. And we do have great fans, and it's going to be a wonderful night for them to be at the park or watching it at a watch party or whatever they're doing. It's going to be a great night. Well,
as well as I do, there's been plenty of conversation the last 24 hours about something that was said about this Royals team, and that was from the Yankees' Jazz Chism. I want to play this for those who didn't hear it, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't get J.J. Picollo's response to this.
How different does the series feel now after Game 2 compared to after Game 1?
Still feels the same that we're going to win it, I don't feel like anybody feels any different. We're going to go out there and do our thing still. We still don't feel like any team is better than us. Like you said, we had a lot of missed opportunities tonight, so they just got lucky.
Just got lucky, JJ. How's that playing in the locker room?
Well, I know that got around our locker room pretty quickly the other night as we were packing up and leaving. But, it adds to the excitement of the series. You see these other series, teams are jawing at each other, and there's a lot of emotion, and we have a ton of respect for Jazz. He's a really good player. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. But I know this. We could easily say that we should be 2-0 right now coming out of Yankee Stadium. There was no luck involved. It was 2 good teams that played 2 competitive games, and we're tied up 1-1. So it should be add to the mystery of tonight, or whatever may happen tonight. It'll just add to the excitement.
Absolutely. And this turnaround, I know you go into every season thinking, hey, we can do that. We can do the 25-30 game turnaround. But what was the point in the season when you said to yourself, hey, you know what? I think we can actually pull this off. Is there a game or a moment that stands out to you from earlier in the year or a series?
Well, I think it was more just the consistency that we played early on. And as a front office, we have to monitor and evaluate, is this sustainable? When we got to mid-June and now you're starting to talk about trade deadline, that's when we realized, this team can do it and we need to add to this club and not just play it out with the 26 guys we had. So it wasn't any one moment. It was just chunks of the season that you look at. And in our evaluations, I would say it was mid-June to the beginning of July where we made the decision that we're going to push forward and add to the club. But the players earned that. I get asked about that a lot. And what I mean by that is they went out and put this team in a position to win the division. So it's our job to continue to try to push. And that's the time of year you can fill some holes and do whatever you need to do to your club to make it a more complete club. And, we did our best to try to help that out.
It's going to be a special scene tonight out at Kauffman Stadium. J.J. Picollo is, of course, the general manager and executive vice president, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. J.J., thank you so much for the time. We so appreciate it. And good luck tonight. Enjoy the scene. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll be cheering on the Royals.
Thank you, Pete. It's going to be exciting.
Can't wait. J.J. Picollo on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM.